who are the witnesses there?
Okay.
Is there any video there? Are you taking pictures if you're able? Is there anybody with you who can take pictures?
It's dependent on whether you're actually in the Uber and then you get hit by another car, or if you're in the Uber and your Uber driver causes an accident.
They say they do a background check, but they don't really, right? You log onto the app, hey, you're approved, start driving.
You get a lot of finger pointing, and sometimes you get sort of just a standstill.
Or you try to settle it on your own. You don't know what your damages are.
Yeah.
You only get one shot at it.
Everybody's trying to get out of being responsible for the damages at that point, and so you got to start the fight early.
Thanks for watching the Carolina Justice Report today. I'm Rainey Romero with the lovely law firm. It is the tourist season here in Myrtle Beach, and we are talking about Uber, Lyft, and other rideshare companies and what you need to know. Welcome back. Thanks for watching. I'm here with attorneys Justin Lovely, Sarah Austin, and Sharday Crawford. How we doing, folks?
Doing great.
Good. We're happy now that it's the summer season, right?
Oh yeah.
So, we have done other videos on rideshare companies and kind of things that people need to know about those. The rules are always changing kind of with those, yeah?
Yeah, it's a totally different animal than your regular car accident, okay? And we're gonna try to tell people what they need to be aware of. Two ways. One, if you're going to drive, I guess we're talking to more locals. If you're driving for Uber, Lyft, or any of these rideshare like GrubHub, DoorDash, Amazon's got one. If you're a driver, and then also if you're a passenger, right? Because everybody's coming down here. It's tourist season. They may want to go to a bar, have a drink with supper time or something like that, and you want to get home or back to your hotel. What are you going to do? Everybody's conditioned now. Push Uber, push Lyft, and go home. So, and everybody's, I know I do it a lot. You don't want to go out, but you don't want to make anything, right? So it's so easy. You don't
This
grub
is me
hub.
every day.
I know. It's so expensive though, man. I was like, order Chick-fil-A, it was like $100. I'm like,
Oh, it's
doing
ridiculous.
This.
I'm
We're
going
making
up the
spaghetti.
road.
It is ridiculous.
I'm going up the road. I'm going to pay $25.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous the way you do it too, because you're like, oh, I sit every time and I add all my things up and I go to check out and then I'm like, I'm getting in the car.
It's like
Every single time I'm
Doing
like,
the same thing.
okay, I'm just gonna go.
But no, and local people are driving for extra money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they're involved in accidents, and so these rideshare companies provide insurance on their vehicle if they're at fault, if they're liable, because they're not considered employees. But they would, if you're driving here in Myrtle Beach and you hit one of those guys while they're on an active ride, instead of suing their insurance, there's a potential we'll be able to go after DoorDash or GrubHub or whoever the rideshare.
And that's the commercial policy that you're talking about. Okay.
One of the unique ones that we're seeing in personal injury.
And it gets tricky. I mean, I've run into all different obstacles with insurance policies for rideshare companies. And it's dependent on whether you're actually in the Uber and then you get hit by another car, or if you're in the Uber and your Uber driver causes an accident, or if you're driving for Uber. It's going to be different a different insurance policy and mandatory coverages they have to provide for each different scenario. And so it can get very complicated.
Well, and does it change from company to company too? Like Uber versus Lyft versus,
And they all have different companies and they never want to pay, and they're always trying to say this isn't, our coverage doesn't kick in until this point or until this point. And so you get a lot of finger pointing, and sometimes you get sort of just a standstill, and it can be very frustrating for our clients who just want their car fixed, they want their treatment paid for.
Right.
It can be very complex. So the sooner you call a lawyer to start digging in on that, because there's multiple layers, faster you're going to get help and answers, especially in those kinds of cases.
Are all of these drivers that sign up for these companies to drive for them, are they required to have this on them?
Well, your own personal auto policy generally will say if you're operating, under as a rideshare, Uber, Lyft, you're working for them at that time. If your app is on, then your personal auto coverage is not going to cover it.
That's called the Hire Exclusion. That's we see that in the last probably 2 or 3 years. That's probably in every single case that we've got. When these first came around, you did not see that, but of course, insurance companies started getting wise to it, and they started adding that into everybody's policy. So when you sign that little addendum and everybody renews their car insurance, nobody reads it right, but that's what they're slipping in there for Hire Exclusions.
So then if, say I drive for Uber and I get into a car accident, it was the other car's fault, it's just me driving, nobody else is in there. Is that also like a workers' compensation claim?
Well, not in South Carolina.
No.
Not in South
No.
Carolina.
Wow.
You are an independent contractor, 100%. there's no workers' comp for that.
Wow.
So you would bring a claim in that scenario. We bring a claim against the at-fault driver, and that would be your source of recovery.
And that would go through the commercial policy.
No, that would go against the at-fault driver.
Gotcha.
Now, as a driver, let's flip that up and say you cause an accident, right? You're worried somebody's going to sue you. Well, that depends, like Sarah said. Where are you at in this scenario of picking up a driver? Are you just driving and you haven't turned on the app yet? In that scenario, your car insurance will pick up and protect you. Okay. If you turn on Uber or Lyft, but you don't have an active driver, they provide a certain level of coverage. And for Uber, that's $50,100. So $50,000 of liability per person, $100,000 for the whole accident. Okay. If you pick up a rider, so I'm driving, I pick up Rainey. Rainey gets in my car. We're on an active ride. I go and hit somebody. They're going to step in and provide $1 million of coverage.
Wow.
Right. So that's for the driver. Now for a passenger, same thing kicks in. Have you ordered the car? Have you got in the car yet? Are you on your route? And so just depending on what happens, and we got to get all this data at intake,
Wow.
that you're gonna have different levels of insurance coverage.
And you're able to know based off of their app.
Right. So that's what we'll do at intake. We'll say they'll tell us, hey, I was on an Uber ride or whatever. We'll say bring me your phone. And that's a good thing because none of that stuff is deleted. It's all in there. We'll make sure it's preserved, and from there we'll figure out what the coverage is, what your damages are, and then proceed, through the lawsuit if necessary.
Man, I'm glad you guys deal with that stuff because that is complicated.
Well, it's very complicated.
It's very complicated, even to the point where things are changing, and I mean, everybody's trying to get out of being responsible for the damages at that point, and so you got to start the fight early.
Yeah.
Even while the client is still going to the doctor and all that stuff, we're starting that coverage fight as soon as we sign up the case and start the claims up.
And I think the biggest thing is, and what a client will get most frustrated with, is because it does take a while to sort all that out, is that property damage.
Yes.
So you've got to be patient because it's hard enough if we've got everybody accepting liability to get the property adjusted. And that, of course, you need your car to go to work, get your kids to school, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, it's tough.
You got to be extra patient. Trust me, we're going to work as fast as we possibly can, but we also don't want to leave any money on the table when we're working out the property.
And we want to get these big policies activated and involved and, accepting the claims. And so it could be, these cases can be worth high value, but there is that, the complex part of it really starts at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, and for, the food ones, GrubHub, DoorDash, ones like that, there's also regulations with food safety and handling. Do you know about this side of it?
Yeah, so that's a big thing in the news, right? Because if you'll notice when you do order that, they'll come sealed. They'll have like a special sticker, right? And this was because nobody could just enjoy the GrubHub or the DoorDash, right? We had to have some jackass out somewhere, open it, taking a bite of your pizza, and
And put it back.
Yeah, put it back. There you go. Give him a $5 tip. So yeah, all that stuff is sealed here in South Carolina, and I used to worry about it. I don't worry about it anymore as long as it's nice and sealed and good to go. Sometimes if I get like a loose bag, I kind of worry about it, but we don't really have that many cases calling in with that particular issue. But it could be something that you'd have to be aware of, I guess.
Okay.
The bigger issue to know about is if you're out driving with your family just on a Sunday afternoon, and some guy who you think hit you and maybe you don't think they have a lot of insurance. Well, normally you would call us if we think, this person has a minimum policy, and then we through our investigation, Sarah Charday discovers, wow, this person was driving for DoorDash. Well, guess what? Instead of a $25,000 policy, now we're going to go after DoorDash's insurance, which could be up to $1 million, which is great because that's an avenue of recovery for our injured clients. And if you don't investigate that,
You miss out.
Or you try to settle it on your own, and you don't know what your damages are.
Yeah.
You only get one shot at it. You piss away your rights, take a chump change settlement. It's over.
Is there anything different? So say there is an accident like that. Is there anything different that they should collect or do or not do when the accident happens at the scene that's different from any other car accident?
Well, this is what we always say this too. Who are the witnesses there?
Okay.
Is there any video there? Are you taking pictures if you're able? Is there anybody with you who can take pictures? Something you can do is take pictures of both cars, not just your car. Look in the car. Is there a GrubHub bag there? Is there a GrubHub sticker? Is there a
Uber
DoorDash?
stickers are right on the front.
The Uber stickers, you have to have that in Myrtle Beach to
stickers,
deliver.
So if you get a picture of that, that will help
Yeah.
us really be like, okay, now we're going to get all that information from the other party because we know this person does drive for Uber. We'll figure it out eventually. It's just a lot faster
helps, yeah.
if you collect that while you're on the scene.
Because you're going to be given that FR10 form, right? You're going to read it. It might say Allstate, State Farm, all right? So we start working it up. We get these pictures, and either Sarah will catch it, Sharday will catch it, one of our girls will catch it. I'll look at it. Our investigator will look at it. We see that. That's a red flag for us, and then we send our investigators to go deeper. And the quicker we can get that done, the quicker we can get the case going and get them involved.
Yeah. Well, that's important to know. I mean, because we just did an episode of tourism here at the beach and traffic and all the, how congested it is. And so that means a lot of car accidents as well for that, fender benders and all that good stuff. So as these rideshare companies are getting bigger and bigger, it's definitely important for people to know.
People also get worried about this. They say, oh, well, there's only, some may have a $250,000 policy. Some may have a $750,000 policy. Some may have $1 million. Well, you think $1 million's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That it's really not if you're catastrophically injured. It's not. Yeah. But the good news is, if they're at fault, we don't really care. Because guess what? They're a Fortune 500 company. We just go and try to get a judgment above and beyond. But they're going to require us to litigate the thing, right? So you got to have a lawyer who knows how to work these cases. He's willing to go to court, file the lawsuit, do the work, do the discovery, do the depositions, get it to a mediator, see if we can get it worked out, but ultimately go to trial if we have to. Yeah. And that's what we do.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm pumped. You're gonna be fired up about this. I don't like these Uber or Lyft drivers because they don't really look. They say they do a background check, but they don't really, right? You log onto the app. Hey, you're approved. Start driving because just like everything else, they're understaffed too, and they're getting all these demands because this is the way of life now. Everybody's ordering these, trying to be easy, right? No friction. Let's just order DoorDash and be done with it. And then you got all these people driving, and maybe they miss that this person had 3 DUIs. Right? Mm-hmm. And now he's driving drunk, trying to deliver food, and he hits a family of 4. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And we got to hold that company responsible for that.
So don't try and do this on your own, folks. It's very complicated if you get into an accident in general, but especially with something like this, you want to come and see us. Not me, them. Because I won't help you. So any other final thoughts on that? Good?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, just let me add something. I've taken control of this whole episode here. This is really my bread and butter. I like doing this because of bigger policies, bigger cases.
Yeah.
But, it's not just Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and GrubHub that we've talked about today, but there's other smaller startups that are coming up.
There's Instacart, and there's all this.
Instacart, there's the Sud Share that my wife gets the laundry done. But guess what? They have insurance while they're delivering that laundry. Any kind of delivery company. And then on top of that, just talking generally, commercial policies, we got to find out too, because people might be driving for business purposes in their personal vehicle. Sure. Right? Yeah. And when we go to work a case, if someone's not versed in this to investigate this, they may settle the case short. Well, no. We start investigating it. You were driving for, this is just an example, the Lovely Law Firm. Because what? Now I've got a claim against the Lovely Law Firm, right? Who's got a big commercial policy. Mm-hmm. And that's a game changer when we're talking $25,000 to $1 million. Yeah. You can't leave any money on the table, one shot at it.
No, it's important to know, for sure. All right, folks, we've got Justin Lovely all fired up about this, so he is ready to help you. Let us know if you have any questions. You can visit us online at justiceslovely.com. Of course, we're on all of your social media as well. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We are all over the place, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching the Carolina Justice Report today. We'll see you next time.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely. The lovely